What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. If you like this content and you want to support, you can send me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. You can send me 50 cents, and it would be super helpful to do that. Thank you so much to everyone who does that kind of thing. I really, really appreciate it. You make it possible for me to continue to do this thing on a regular basis, so thank you so much for doing that. Please go listen to the music. You can do that for free. Free 99 is the price that it takes to go to YouTube or Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you get your music at, and listen to Can't Help Myself. You can listen to Breathe. There's a really nice video for Breathe as well. Those things were difficult and expensive to produce, but you get to listen to that for free now, so please go do that. Thank you for being here. You can join the Patreon and get an electional report to help you time your life. You can get a reading at zambonifunk.com. There's a bunch of stuff like that. Thanks so much for doing that. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week we have a major shift. Things have moved in a pretty major kind of way. There's a couple of things going on here. First, Mars has moved out of Cancer and into Leo. This is a much, much more comfortable position for Mars to be in. Now, the thing about that is that, so Mars in Leo is much more comfortable, able to do the Mars things, right? And so that's nice for Mars to be able to get up, get out, do the things, work, push on things, be active. That's what Mars typically wants to do, right? But then, you know, this Mars is immediately opposite to Pluto in Aquarius, and it's immediately square to Jupiter in Taurus. And I like Jupiter in Taurus. That also happened last week, and so this is a new situation, and so I do like to see Jupiter in Taurus. I think that that's going to be really good for the collective generally over this year-long period of time that Jupiter is going to be there in Taurus. I think that that looks helpful. It looks good for, you know, finding some meaning in the chaos and disruption that's been going on. It's good for finding some help or, you know, some kind of, one thing that Palace said on the last quarterly forecast was if you can sort of reroute your idea of what the good life is, then maybe you can find your way to it a little easier and that kind of thing. I think Jupiter is going to be really good for that in Taurus in the broad scope. But right now, with this square to Mars happening, with this square to Pluto and Aquarius happening, and also Jupiter is right there on the North Node as well. So the North Node is a point of increase, right? It tends to do more of whatever it is that touches. And so whenever you think about that, and you put that with Jupiter, whose job it is to expand things and to make them bigger and stuff like that, it seems like they would agree, right? And so they do agree on let's get rich sometimes, right? That sort of thing really works well. Now, they work together. Now, the thing about that is that Jupiter really tends toward moderation. That's one of the reasons why Jupiter is considered a benefic or one of the planets that sort of brings you nice things, brings you things that you like comfort and security and stability and stuff like this. There's a tendency toward moderation, not too much of something. Whereas the North Node is big, too much energy. It wants to go super hard in the paint. It doesn't want to stop. It will be a little greedy. It'll be a little like a hungry ghost or something like this, right? Never satisfied, never quite getting enough, this kind of thing. So to see Jupiter there looks like all of the indulgent properties of Jupiter doing more, doing the most in Taurus, maybe trying to stack up some coins, or I mentioned in my quarterly forecast a land grab or something like this, right? That sort of stuff looks really possible, especially there with Mars as well. And so and Mars moves kind of slow. You know, Mars is moving at like a half a degree a day or something like this, and so it's kind of creeping toward this square with Jupiter, and has already seen an opposition to Pluto. But this is ongoing all this week, right? And so this looks like it's you know, Jupiter's got to get over a hump before we get to the fun stuff. You know what I mean? Right now, it looks like there's definitely a sense of inadequacy or something like that that might be showing up here with that North Node. I gotta get more, that sort of thing, and being willing to fight for it with that Mars there as well. And Mars in Leo is like really ready to fight about some shit, especially being ruled by the sun. So the sun has moved into Gemini now, or is moving into Gemini, something like this. It's like today sometime. So sun in Gemini is, I like the sun in Gemini. I think that the sun does well in Gemini. It likes the sort of heat and dryness of that sign. And there's a kind of, you know, Gemini, I think about like, one of my favorite things to think about with Gemini is like pollinators, or like the social butterfly, or this kind of thing, right? And so the sun does really well in that position, kind of like being a star and like moving around and talking to the people and kind of being a mayor around town, this kind of thing, right? The thing about this sun in Gemini, now that Saturn has moved into Pisces, is that there's this square to Saturn that's got to go on. And so when we see the sun square to Saturn, that looks a little bit pressed. It looks like there's pressure or some kind of heaviness or burden or something like that. Gemini doesn't really like, one of the things about Gemini is that it is light-footed, you know what I mean? Like it's ruled by Mercury, who's got wings on his shoes. Like there's this sense of like, I can get around super quick and easy, and like I don't necessarily need to be super decisive because I can like go back and forth and all the different ideas and this kind of stuff, right? To see that Saturn there maybe adds a little bit of extra pressure to things, and then that extra pressure is then transferred to Mars, who is ruled by the sun. And so Mars is feeling that pressure. Mars is also in this opposition to Pluto. Mars is also in a square to Jupiter. Now Mars with Jupiter, whenever I think about Jupiter and Mars together, I definitely think that Jupiter can help that Mars out, right? It can maybe be, you know, fighting for something meaningful, or it can be the kind of thing that's like get your ass out of bed because somebody needs you, or something like that. There's some kind of meaningful, like it matters if you act, right? Is the kind of Mars with Jupiter situation there. Just with that Pluto, who can be a little bit shadowy, the distorted mirror, or the, you know, like there's like something underworldy about that, you know, like a little seedy, a little like power grabby, this kind of thing. And then add that to Jupiter on the North Node, who's never satisfied, right? Like always gotta go harder than that. You know, that looks like it's a little tenuous for a little while. And this week definitely speaks to that a little bit here. One thing that I think is really nice that we've got an opportunity to get a little bit of here is Venus in Cancer. And we do get to see a lovely Moon-Venus conjunction in Cancer. And that's not harmed by anyone at this point. We just like have this lovely, like there's a trine to Saturn involved here. Like this seems nice. It seems supportive. It seems really good for creativity. I've been talking about Saturn and Pisces being good for creativity for a few weeks now, especially with that Venus in Cancer there as well. This is a really good time to lean into whatever kind of imaginative dynamics you can do. This is good for dreaming or active imagination or something like this. This might be good for something like psychedelic or something like that. You know, meditative, this kind of thing. Maybe a breathing exercise would be a good exercise to do during this time as well. Get some ideas flowing and this kind of thing. There's also, you know, just like one thing that Saturn is good for is like shut up and do it. Like I don't care about your excuses or whatever, right? Like did you do the thing or did you not do the thing, right? And so this is really good for seeing that in a trine with Venus in Cancer here is also good for like actually, yes, you had this nice idea and whatever, actually write it down, actually draw the thing, actually do it in whatever way. And seeing that Mars there as well, Mars in Leo, who's got a little bit more of that kind of get up and go energy, ready to actually act, rather than Mars in Cancer for the past few weeks, who's been like, I don't feel like it, right? Mars in Leo is going to be much more ready to handle business and do stuff, get up and handle it. So this looks, you know, people have been talking about the second half of May is looking up, and I definitely see where they're coming from here in a big way. So this looks like especially to the one who has ambition and the drive to actually make things go, then this looks like a good, strong, productive week. You'll be able to get a lot of shit done. Thank you so much for hanging out here with me today. I'm out of time here. If you want to listen to the music, I would love it if you would do that. Please leave a comment under the Breathe video and tell me how it goes for you. Thank you so much for being here. I'll check you next time.